Well, we've made it. Beyond all everything, those of you watching, we've gotten to the end of yet another year in foam flinging. It's been rough, it's been exciting, it's been Nerf or something. I tried to wait as long as possible to put this video out because of one very specific X-Shot Pro Blaster, but since that seemingly isn't coming out in this arbitrary measure of time, I guess we'll have to pin it for 2025's Best Blaster list. Alright, this is the best blasters of 2024, at least in my opinion. Now, obviously everything here is already going to be on deep discount because it's just that time of year right now, but what's better than a deep discount? How about cash back? We can save even more thanks to Rakuten, this video's sponsor. Rakuten is the largest cash back and more site, which partners with over 3,500 of the biggest name brands out there. And I saw foam dart blaster deals for the likes of Walmart, Target, Tractor Supply, and of course they feature so much more like Nike's, Kohl's, Macy's, pretty much anything you can think of. That's cashback, coupons, and promo codes, all for free in one easy place thanks to Rakuten. You just click the links on Rakuten and then shop on the website like normal, or you can use their browser extension. Rakuten sponsored a similar video a couple of years ago, and I've been using it since then, and it really couldn't be easier. So if you're doing your holiday shopping this year, or you just want to buy something nice for yourself, make sure you stack that cash back on top of all of those deals. And if you sign up by clicking the link in my profile, you get a $40 sign-up bonus when you make any qualifying purchase. Buy something for grandma, and then use that $40 sign-up bonus to buy something nice for yourself. Let's start with the most obvious choice, and that is the Adventure Force Nexus Pro X available at Walmart. This is the best all-round blaster with the smoothest prime and the best bang for your buck, coming in at $50 USD without a sale. The Nexus Pro X is a magazine-fed pump-action short dart-only primary blaster that hits over 200 feet per second velocities right out of the box. It has a short, smooth prime and the ability to jump that velocity up to around 250 feet per second with a simple spring swap that you can perform in under a minute. It also has slam fire if you needed even more of a reason, and lots of options for customization such as priming grips, foregrips, stocks, and optics. It even has M-Lock compatibility if you're into that. The included SCAR and B-Car muzzles also give it nearly perfect accuracy as well. It's really hard to beat the Nexus Pro X, let alone for its extremely accessible price. And it alone becomes one of the best purchases of 2024. So if you haven't upgraded in a while, this is one of your best bets. But let's say you need even more power, and power is really all you care about, then the Siren Muller has your back. You can pick this up at a variety of places such as Target, Amazon, and even Tractor Supply has them on store shelves. Featuring 3 power settings that you can adjust in under a second from 130 all the way up to 250 plus feet per second. The Muller is another mag-fed monstrosity spitting short darts out with slam fire. The bullpup design is a welcome change, and nothing will top it when it comes to price to performance with its under $40 MSRP. There's a lot of features on tap here, but also some glaring omissions such as the ability to easily equip a muzzle stabilization device without complete disassembly of the blaster. Lack of customization for the grip and foregrip is also present, and speaking of that main grip, it's bad. It's so bad that I dubbed it an affront to God. But if you want power and you want it cheap, this is the blaster for you, and in my testing, you might not even really need that SCAR barrel if you use the right darts. Speaking of Target, they also carry the Dart Zone Max Venom Pro, which is most likely to be the best blaster of this year completely. This $50 electronic fully automatic flywheel pistol, and just saying that almost requires me to change my pants, isn't the best sidearm ever or anything, it's just one of the best for the price and the most accessible. The fact that this thing is on store shelves at Target for $50 and comes with a USB-C rechargeable battery and 2 magazines with enough darts for both is insane. Nothing competes. Sure, there are better full auto pistols out there, but they're 2 to 6 times the cost of the Venom Pro and harder to get your hands on, require more parts and fiddling. The Venom Pro just works. It works well, and it's nigh unbeatable as a blaster. It's so good, it makes every similar Dart Zone offering look bad. Like the $40 Adventure Force Maxim Pro from Walmart. On paper, this is more of an SMG or competitive strife offering. It's semi-auto, requires you to power with 8 AA batteries, but it is mag-fed for standard Talon magazines and performs admirably, far better than the NERF Pro picks at similar price ranges. You can also drop a bit more and get your hands on the full auto kit for it, which in my testing works way better than it has any right to, but jumps the price above even the Venom Pro for double the size of the blaster. It's a perfect pro strife for cheap, and the funniest part about the Maxim Pro is its really only other competition is other Dart Zone blasters being it to the punch. NERF Pro might have fallen on its face, and NERF N-Series might leave you lacking, except for the $30 NERF N-Series Sprinter. This is honestly a better Nerf Raven, featuring compact bulb-up design that's almost an ergonomic dream, magazine-fed semi-auto trigger that feels amazing, and serviceable velocities for ages 8 and up. The N-Series darts work surprisingly well out of a flywheeler, and even then it could be totally converted to shoot standard 50 caliber foam darts. And the Sprinter handles so nicely, it's practically worth it for some of you. Out of all of the N-Series blasters so far, the Sprinter just ticks all the boxes and lands itself as the only option thus far that feels like it's even worth the price of admission. Speaking of forgotten names at Nerf, what about Nerf Rival? Because at this time last year, you already knew about these two blasters and were eagerly awaiting them to land on store shelves. But I'm glad Nerf Rival is getting a decent send-off if this is in fact the send-off. If I had to pick between the two, it's almost impossible, as they feature really nice designs that firmly land themselves as two of the most premier options in Nerf Rival. Your standard magazine flywheeler affair, something uncommon in Nerf Rival with the Challenger, or a combat PDW Springer with Slamfire in the Mirage. Checking prices this late in the year with the holidays coming up, the Challenger can be found for around $30 USD, while the Mirage will run you around $20. Both are great entries into Rival, but the Mirage really won my heart with its tiny ergonomic design, yet packing a surprising punch for something that has so many different ways to load balls into it. Really, you can't go wrong with either one, and here's hoping that Nerf doesn't abandon this line quite yet. There are budget offerings that still go really hard though, and nobody would be disappointed to get an Adventure Force Desperado or two under the Christmas tree this year. Ringing in at under $9, not only is this blaster super fun, but it's a great project blaster. It's the most accessible sidearm there is thanks to its one-handed firing design, and it holds up to 6 darts and can be easily modded with printed parts. That will drive that performance upwards of 115 feet per second to become a pretty good little 2-shot shotgun pistol if you're into that, so the Desperado has a lot of layers to it that drives up its recommendation level. It's only at Walmart for right now though. Alright fine, I'll talk about Nerf Pro on here. The foam blasters, not the gel. Both the Sender and the Torrent are short dart magazine-fed blasters from Nerf with some pro performance, but the mags, while being honestly pretty inexpensive, are basically proprietary for no real reason, and the blasters launched with issues. So let's just assume for the sake of argument here that they work the way they're intended to going forward. For $30 or $20 on sale as I'm seeing it, the Torrent is a force to be reckoned with. If it's not jamming and you have the mags defeated, the Torrent gives you pump action carbine mag in grip action for a Springer, which is honestly kind of uncommon right now. And with pro performance up to 150 FPS using short darts, it gives you all the power you need to face whatever you happen to see out there on the battlefield. It features a Nerf N-Strike stock attachment point if you're into that, but sorely lacks any kind of slam fire even though it feels like it's built for it. The Sender uses the same magazines as the Torrent, but in a 6AA semi-auto flywheeler configuration. This one has some questionable ergonomic decisions, but the bullpup pistol design is unique, and if you can overcome the stiff trigger, the Sender will give you a lot with this semi-auto 140 FPS velocity. Both of these blasters, again, have some issues though, so save your receipt. But what are some older blasters I still feel deserve some love in 2024 that you might still find on store shelves, or at least rotting in the back of an Amazon warehouse? If you love the Nerf Strife and only the Nerf Strife Pro X still exists surprisingly enough at a more reasonable discounted price of around $80 US. There's a lot to love, as this is basically a pro level Strife capable of some pretty decent performance, even surpassing that of the Nerf Pro Sender. It's a bit much for what it offers though, and it might soon disappear again, and that'd be a shame if you're a huge fan of this design. The Dart Zone Max outlaws a hefty priming one-handed 6-shot revolver that still lurks on some Target shelves. At $32, it really is the pro hammer shot you've been waiting for. In my opinion, the design does leave a lot to be desired, with the hammer that actually interferes with the grip yet is also made of metal, so it's durable as heck and thus super reliable. You can also shove a Dart Zone scar muzzle on there to achieve some pretty decent accuracy for a 6-shooter, but it does come with those pop-out cylinders, and there are free 3D printer files that you can find on Dart Zone's website for a holster that gives you some fairly solid options. For 130 plus FPS and a one-handed revolver, the Outlaw has tons of fans out there. And if for some reason you didn't get one last year, the X-Shot Ragefire is still some of the most fun for your buck in the foam darts. It's a $45 full auto belt-fed minigun that alone is worth shenanigans for the coin, but then it is also built from the ground up to form the core of the X-Shot Insanity Blaster, where you Voltron, the Manic, Berserko, and Mad Mega Barrel onto the Ragefire to turn it into the Engineer's wet dream. This is a blaster that's not only cool to use, but is also a display piece in itself. Speaking of X-Shot and older blasters, the X-Shot Pro Series Longshot is still around. In fact, it's reached more stores and has even had some changes to hopefully make it a little bit more durable. This is, bar none, my opinion for one of the best $30 blasters money can buy. With its sick, lightweight bullpup design, slam fire, yet still works with those short and full-length darts. It is the envy of everybody if they don't realize it's actually a pretty budget primary. It's had issues with the plunger breaking, but the newer designs fix that a little bit. But even if you factor in the cost of a new plunger tube and maybe an upgrade spring and barrel, the Longshots can still give newer designs from Nerf and Dart Zone some trouble. I'm clearly biased. I mean, they made me my own unique skin for the Longshot, which, by the way, there will be a charity auction up for soon, but still, this blaster has its fans for a reason. There's just nothing else that could really compete in this form factor at this price. And let's not forget, we gotta bring up the newcomer from Siren once again with the Blink. Coming in at $90 and available at Target, Amazon, and more, the Blink just wins the race to be the best short dart mag-fed flywheeler for the pro user. Its super high velocity can have you spinning full auto foam darts at 250 plus feet per second, and it also allows you to dial that down to as little about 120 feet per second with the twist of a dial. You can even adjust the rate of fire. It comes with a full-fat XT60 connected LiPo that you can charge via USB-C inside the blaster, giving you everything you could want in an automatic for under $100. Its design isn't going to be for everybody, but if you can overcome that, the Siren Blink will not leave you outgunned out there. It seriously is the baseline for what every flywheel blaster going forward should be. But from the hobby-orientated companies, there's quite a few winners out there as well. How about one of the best automatic springers money can buy with the BK1S? This blaster looks tough and hits tougher, being the perfect sub-200 FPS blaster with select fire for just $150 from Monkey Mods. A lot of people have turned positive on the BK1S, but it does use a proprietary magazine unless you plan on doing some risky modifications. Still, the BK1S and 4 mags will run you under $200, so for that it definitely scores on the top of the best blasters for 2024. But if you want the AEG that does it all at a price that will surprise you as long as you're willing to deal with its quirks and do some work, the Curel W-77 is new. It's too new. It's still kind of something that I think needs a little bit more testing before I give it a super solid recommendation, but it also just gives the tinkerer out there so much for their money. The first AEG where you can swap springs in seconds. No tools, no nothing. High velocity over 230 FPS out of the box, plenty of customization points. It's not perfect. The trigger is clunky, the full auto doesn't work the best right now, and the exposed on-off switch can have you accidentally launching your 77 across the room, or worse. It's far from accessible in my opinion, but those already deep into the Nerf game, some of those flaws are bonuses. To the right person, the 77 will be the best they've ever used. And honestly, this is a late addition to this list because I got it and wasn't planning on getting it, and it is technically still November, so the Worker Kunlun. The full video for this will be out in a day or two, but the short answer is this thing is really good if you're into bolt action. It's honestly maybe one of the best bolt actions we've ever got. With a stock spring, the prime was pinky weight. In fact, even with a modded spring, I could still prime it with my pinky. And this, in this setup right now, is hitting over 300 FPS. It is by far one of the smoothest and most lightweight primes for the performance that I've seen in the hobby if you're into springers. And if you have a Worker Seagull or Harrier, it's a very standard affair to those. A couple of screws, you can pull the whole thing apart, adjust the barrel, adjust the plunger tube, swap out springs and all that stuff. But there is a noticeable lack of customization with Kunlun because it doesn't have the same replaceable stock. It's a monolithic affair, so if you don't like how these feel and handle, which I happen to, changing them out is gonna be a pain. And if you're not into the bolt action, there's really nothing for you here. But I am very comfortable in saying that this is the best bolt action Nerf sniper rifle I think I have used. Kunlun just feels amazing. Be sure to leave your hate comments down below. Like and subscribe and all that garbage. Thanks to Rakuten for sponsoring the video. Use those links, get that dough. Later, Nerf herders.